Hello, my name is Kebedech Tekleab. I'm going to read 2 poems, that is for Geo. And the first poem that I would like to read is entitled To the Parent of a Caged Child. I wrote this poem in 2018, June 2018, actually. And the poem was evoked by the United States policy in 2018 to separate children from their parents at the US-Mexico border. I would like to dedicate this poem to victims of war and displacement around the globe. I initially wrote the poem in English and translated it into Amharic, the Ethiopian national language. And I will read the Amharic version, and Chris is going to read the translation. And one other poem that I will read in Amharic, originally written and translated by Chris Beckett, and he's going to read the translation. So the Amharic version of that poem is entitled ለታሰረው ሕፃን ወላጅ ዋጋ ካለው ያን የሰጡሽን ቁጥር ጠበቅ አድርገሽ ያዥው የግል ቦርሳሽ ይመስል የግል ቋጠሮሽ ያህል ከእስር ቤት መግቢያው በር ላይ ያስረከብሽውን ልጅሽን ያልበረታ ሕፃንሽን ደግም መልሰሽ እንድታቅፊው ጸልይ ልጅሽ ከቁጥሩ እንዲዛመድ መለያሽ እሱ ነውና ምናልባት ፀሐይ ብትወጣ አበባውን ብታደምቀው እንቡጡን አትለይምና ጸልይ ቁጥሩን በቁጥርሽ እንድትለይ ለልጅሽ ማንባቱ ይብቃሽ የሐዘን ጽዋሽ ሞልቷል ለዝንት ዓለም ለሚመጡት ሰለባዎች ይዳረሳል ቀና ብለሽ ሰማይ እነሆ ጀርባሽ ባዶ ነው ሸክሙን ልብሽ አውርዷል የጫንቃሽ ጭንቀት ቀሏል የልብሽ ሸክም በስቷል ፍቅርሽን ጉያሽ ሸሽጊው በልብሽ ማህደር ያዢው የስር ኬላዎች የሚሰብር ድንበራትን የሚሻገር ርህራሄ አልባውን ገድፎ ለምለም ልቦች ላይ የሚሰፍር ሰብአዊነት ላይ የሚጸገይ ሰብአዊነት ላይ የሚከብር ነውና Thank you. Chris, could you read the English version?
I feel a bit strange because actually you wrote this poem in English and then translated it into Amharic. So what I'm going to read is not my translation, but it's not your translation either. It's your original actually. So it's a privilege that you asked me to read it for you, Kebedech.
I'd be honored.
To the parent of a caged child. Keep the number they gave you. If it is valid to reclaim your child like a backpack, like stuff, an item of contraband, you handed in by the entrance of a jailhouse. Pray your toddler is tagged properly. You may not recognize the bud if you see the light again, illuminating the flower. No more tears for your child. The well of sorrow is full, enough for all the victims to come. Stand still. Your back is free. Your burden loaded onto your heart. Hold your love tight. The mighty power that reaches across the wire cages, across boundaries, anywhere fertile, skipping the dry spots, devoid of humanity.
Thank you very much, Chris. The second poem that I'm going to read is from the anthology Chris and Alemu Tebeje edited, and the title is Tat Wadajun Siata. I wrote this poem when I was in concentration camps in Somalia during the war between Ethiopia and Somalia. I was actually almost a teenager when I wrote that poem, but it is still relevant. And the title is Tat Wadajun Siata. እንዲህ እንዳሁኑ ብዕር እንደዋዛ ተዘንግቶ ሳይቀር ጣት ወዳጁን አጥቶ መሬት ሳይቆረቁር የብሶት ተካፋይ ንጹህ ብራና አጥቶ ለምድር ሳይናገር ተቀባይ ሳያጣ መልእክት የሚያሰፍር ሁሉም በየመልኩ ይሰፍር ነበረ ለመጻፍ ተነስቶ ብዕር ካመረረ ካንጀት ካመረረ ደም ይተፋል ብዕር ቢያጥቡት የማይነጻ ቢቀቡት የማይሽር እሳት ቢጨምሩት ነዲድ ሆኖ የሚገር ደረቁ ብራና እንዲህ ሳይወረዛ ተዘንግቶ ሳይቀር ብዕር እንደዋዛ ነጋሪት ሳይጎሽም ጽንፍን ያዳርሳል ፍላጻው ሳይታይ ወርውሮ ያቆስላል ያለፈውን ጥሶ አዲስ ይገነባል እንዲህ ሳይገታ ወሰን ተሰርቶለት ህሊናም እንደ ግር ሰንሰለት ታስሮለት በእንስሳት ደረጃ ምኞቷ ዘቅዝቆ የማደግ ስሜቱ አእምሮውን ለቆ ጎህ ሲቀድ ለሌሊት ሲመሽ ጎህ ሲቀድ ለዕለት ሲመሽ ለሌሊቱ ስጋው ትቢያ እንዳይሆን እንዳይፈርስ አጥንቱ ህልሙ ይሄ ሆኖ ስጋቱ ፍራቱ ብዕር ጓደኛውን ጣትን ሳይዘነጋ ምድሪቱን ቆርቁሮ ለሷ ሳያወጋ አእምሮ ሲቆስል እሱ ደም ይተፋል ቀለሙ ኃይል አለው በመልኩ ያቀልማል ተዘንግቶ ሳይቀር እንዲህ እንደዋዛ የመኖር ፍላጎት ህሊናን ሳይገዛ ያኔ ታዛዥ ሳለ ላንጋፋው አእምሮ መልእክቱ በቀለም በብራናው ጭሮ ይናገር ነበረ ብዕር አፍ አውጥቶ አርቆ ይበራል አክናፉን ዘርግቶ አሮጌውን ንዶ አዲሱን መስርቶ ካንጀት ከወደደ ካደነቀ ዓለምን እንደ ቀሳሚ ንብ በአበባ እንዳረፈ ከቀሰመ ፍቅርን ይጽፍ ነበር ብዕር የውበት ውዳሴን የተፈጥሮን ትንግርት የዓለም ሱታፌን በጥዑመ ቃሉ ጣዕም እየሰጠ በኪነት ልሳኑ ልብ እየመሰጠ ወዶ እያስወደደ ቤተ ፍቅር አንጾ ፍቅረ ላይ ገልጾ የራሱን አፍቅሮት በአንባቢው አስርጾ የውበት አይኑንም ለሌላው ለግሶ እዩበት ይል ነበር ያልታየውን ደሶ እንዲህ እንዳሁኑ ብዕር እንደዋዛ ተዘንግቶ ሳይቀር የብሶት ተካፋይ ንጹህ ብራና አጥቶ ለምድር ሳይናገር Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, it sounds so beautiful in Amharic, Kebedech. It really does. I feel a bit, I always feel a bit strange reading, one beside the other because the English sounds so flat, when you hear it beside the Amharic. Anyway, this poem, I do remember translating together with Alemu, and we both loved this poem so much. So thank you for allowing us to put it in the anthology, and I'm really looking forward to reading. It's an extended metaphor poem, and it's at once, for me, it's at once very, very moving, but also absolutely delightful and charming. Before my finger loses its best friend. Before my finger loses its best friend, before it casually forgets its pen and begins tapping on the ground, before the clean sheet disappears on which it pours out its complaint, conversing with the world, before it gives away the means to write its message, share the panorama of its thoughts, using a pen determined to write soberly, and when it's sober, writes in blood-red ink, unwashawayable. And if anybody tries to scrub its writing off or overpaint, it flares up. And if they try to burn it down, the dry sheet will turn wet before my finger casually forgets its pen. Without a drumbeat, it can carry across borders. Without an arrow, it will penetrate the eye, demolish buildings, put up new ones. It will never be confined because the mind cannot be chained like legs. Its dreams cannot be lowered to subhuman levels. Before its aspiration will evaporate at daybreak when night fades to protect flesh from lifting off the bone and changing into dust. When mind is deep in worry about enemies. Before a pen loses sight of its best friend, before it starts talking to the ground by tapping on it, when the brain is restless, bleeds a little, when imagination is all powerful, bright red, before anything is casually forgotten, before the mind sells out in order to survive, when it is docile to its inner consciousness, write down its message, ink on paper. Now the pen speaks, spreads its wings, flies endless distances, demolishes the old, builds new. And if the pen falls in love soberly, like a bee sucking droplets from a flower, if it sips love from the ink pot, then it will write in praise of beauty, how the world is blessed with wonders. Beautiful words will beautify its work, enchant its readers with artistic voice, put love into the house it builds, removing the old view, replacing with its own. So readers see love through the pen's eye, a pen's precise perspective, as hopefully is happening now, before my finger casually forgets its friend, or the clean sheet of paper disappears, on which it pours out this complaint, before my pen finds itself speaking to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you.